Afternoon, folks. How is everybody? Time to get my can open, ready to drink. Hope you're all having a good afternoon. It is Sunday afternoon, which means it is time to do some rebuilding of the Salamanders this week, which would be pretty cool. Yeah, not doing it for a bit though, so, you know, we can have a little chat, have a little talk. How is everybody doing? Mr. Awesome, back again. Hello, I like OPR. Hello, Jacob. Hello, Oscar. You did make it. Good. I'm not going to do any bad things to your Salamanders. Mainly because we've already done the bad things to them. So we're going to be recapping it, basically. I'm fine. Things are going fine in the household of North. Things are just fine. We are... In fact, the in-laws and my missus are outside in the back garden doing some work on the back garden. I feel really bad because, you know, I'm not out there with them, but that's fine. I haven't seen the sun today. I've been marking essays. I've been recording. I've been doing crisis meetings with students. All sorts of things today, so I've not seen the sun, so I'm a bit grumpy about that. I should do one of these in the garden. But I doubt any of the neighbours want to hear me ranting on about toy soldiers. Good for you, Jacob. Well, cheers for turning up, man. Yeah. But all is fine over on this side of the world. You're a teacher. It's part of my job, yes. Yes, part of my job. I teach privately. So I do private tutoring and seminars at university, things like that. Of course, YouTube's in there as well. You know, like my mum doesn't really know what to say when, you know, people say, "Oh, what does he do? What does your son do?" She's like, you know, he's a professional him, I guess. It's like, oh, he does, you know, he does teaching. He's basically he's a professional North, is what he is. That's what he is. He does. He's paid for doing things. You know. That's always been my way, though. Like I don't like being restricted in any way, shape, or form. It just really doesn't do me. Do you know what I mean? So that restriction can come in the form of like somebody saying, "Oh, this is what you do," and then they just earmark you. That's what you do. Do you know what I mean? No. Nebulous. I like being nebulous. But yeah. We will be doing some... do you know what? Let's put some B-roll on. Why not? Let's put some B-roll on. It's good B-roll? No, that's not B-roll. Where is the B-roll? Oh, yeah, I have things to show. We will be looking at some completed Exiled Blades in a minute. Yeah, that's another part of it. Awesome, yeah. I do editing on people's work, so if they've got an academic book or any other book that they need editing, sometimes I get those to do. Yep, I've not had one in a few months, though. I've kind of gelled away from that. Hey, Jim. Hey, Matthias, yeah. Yeah, things are going well. Things are going fine. Yeah, wish I could see the sun, but things are going fine. In general, things are going alright. It has been really nice weather, to be fair. Where I live. In fact, it looks like it's going to be really nice weather for the next week or so. So that's great, you know. Sun today, sun tomorrow, sun Tuesday, sun Wednesday, sun Thursday. Partly sunny Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, that usually means that's going to be sunny. Because they said that last week about today, over the weekend. You know. Been storming here for days, damn. Edit Games Workshop books, please. Loader Scholar, how's it going, man? How's it going? Depends where you are in the world, Jacob. You know. I don't mind a good storm every now and again. Let's have a look at some models, shall we? So, these are the first completed, if I can find them somewhere, the first completed Exiled Blades. Now, let me see if I can see them. So what I'll do, I will download it again. Ah, it's in videos. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Alrighty, here they are. First completed Exiled Blades. Now these ones, when I did this, still needed varnishing. And you should be able to see the two guys with the halberds, they have their sword emblems the wrong way round. That's because they're sergeants, so they have like a skull now in the middle of that, because it looks better. But apart from that, these were finished last week. And since then, we've done another 5. So we're getting there. We are getting there, slowly but surely. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. We're going to have... I think the list for the tournament in June has... 40 Marines, I want to say. 40 Marines. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 40 Marines. Cheers, man, Dingbat. I'll leave them on for a bit, because it's always nice to have models on the screen. So I'll leave them on for a bit, why not? But yeah, there will be 40. Is it 40? Let me have a look. I'll soon tell you. 10, 20, 30, 36, 42, 43, 44. 44 Marines there will be in the list. I'm not playing this list, by the way. Whoever comes to the tournament and plays... comes to the tournament and comes from far away, you don't need to bring your own army. You can bring this army. You can play this one instead. Which should be cool. Let's do something cool here. Here we go. Let me whack this down here. They are. So yeah, you will be playing that army. If you come from far away, if you come from... I think there's somebody coming from LA. So I think they might be playing this army. There is another one coming as well from a good friend of the channel by the name of Dave. He'll be bringing his Silver Templars, so that'll be cool. Yeah, Jimmy, there you go. You asked for what the tournament is. That's what it is. 21st of June. It is encroaching very quickly on time now. Very quickly. We've got a few things to sort out. But 10 Marines down, or the 44, I consider that good progress. So, I think over the next few weeks we'll get probably the next batch of 10 done, and then another batch of 10, and then we're into the characters and things, and the Blade Guard. So, it shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be too bad. I'm not the greatest painter in the world, but also, like, you know, if you think that this is like, oh my god, this is above my standard, it's not. But number two, you don't need to be anywhere near this standard, man. Bring your models. We're not snobs here, right? We're not snobs. Hello, Ed. Cheers, mate. He says, lovely models, Sir North. Been working on Eldar for the partner Kaiser. Okay. Sadly, I'm away in Finland in mid-June, otherwise would have loved to have shown my face. That would have been cool, man. That would have been cool. Finland, though. Finland's nice. How lovely. How lovely. Apparently, Scandinavia is some of the happiest countries in the world. Not something I was really aware of, but there we go. Apparently so. So they tell me. So they tell me. I'm generally waiting another couple of minutes, maybe 5 o'clock, where we will start the rebuild. Because the amount of people who say, oh, I've just missed it, you know, when they come in, and they're always really upset. What you can do in the meantime is, if you can, have a little think about what we did to Vulcan. Can anyone remember what we did with Vulcan? I have a feeling he died at Istvan. Right? I have a feeling. He's not a perpetual. Yeah, I got that bit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's not a perpetual. Well, perpetuals in our setting don't really exist. Right? I just never got it. I'd never, ever got the perpetual thing. Ever. Didn't think it was, you know, didn't think it was needed. Didn't want it. Thought it was kind of lame. So yeah, never got it. Never got it. So I've kept it out of the Exileverse. It's a plot armor device. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a plot armor device. Yeah. So our version of Vulcan is also super tough, kind of unkillable, right? I think, as Mr. Awesome says, Horus is the one who kills him. Right? Horus is the one who kills him. Yeah. And am I right in suggesting that this is one of the things that really affected Perturabo? Right? Am I right in thinking that? Hi, Krasnoludsky. How's it going, man? They always felt like all the self-inserts. Yes. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Like, Dron Grammaticus, especially. Author insert, yeah. I like OPR says, I like the idea of a soul that reincarnates, but not an immortal physical body. Well, okay, fair enough. Fair dues. Fair dues. So who was really affected by Vulcan's death in his episode? Does anyone remember? Who was really, really rustled their jimmies? Somebody did. Oscar says, yes, Perturabo likes Vulcan because he loves to create things. Right. Okay. And is this one of the things that basically sways Perturabo to being more against chaos, I'm guessing? Yeah. Yes. So Perturabo then heads to Mars and gets involved in a fight with Ferrus Manus. That I remember. That I remember. Mining Bat says, do you think they aim the newer books for a more casual audience and not people who read for the enjoyment of it? I think they try and cover all bases, in all honesty. I think they try and do everything. Like they do try and go above and beyond in making sure that new people are sated and catered for and it's understood, right? But on the flip side, there are certain times where they kind of go off left field, you know? In my opinion. It's one of the reasons why I don't really write fan fiction of 40k, right? Because I really like the effect of world building. I like sitting down and writing a story or writing lore that pulls somebody into a world and they get the world by the end of it. They understand what's going on. With Warhammer, especially 40k, there is a tacit expectation that the novel or story is going to move at a certain pace. And with it moving at a certain pace, you can't really explain what's going on quickly enough to get these things down, right? To make it so that, you know, everything is explained, you know? You can't really have a Brandon Sanderson / you know, Robert Jordan-esque world-building exercise in 40k. The one book series that did it, right, was the Eisenhorn series. And that's why it's the most beloved one. Because it's the one book that 40k fans, or series of books that 40k fans can give to other people who just like sci-fi and say, hey, I know you don't like Warhammer, but try this. Try this on for size. And a lot of the time, people really like it, right? Same thing goes for the first 3 Horus Heresy books, the first trilogy. Fun fact, Games Workshop were not going to make a huge series out of Horus Heresy. It was going to be, 8 to 10 books, which I think would have been just fine. But then it took off and they decided to take the piss, as they usually do. Nick lurking while sanding minis, don't mind me. Yeah, sand off those mold lines. But dude, mold lines in the year 2025 on models that cost this much money is a fucking insult, and I will stand by that. I will absolutely stand by that. It is insulting that they do that. That is ridiculous, in my opinion. But hey ho. Minding says, I asked that because there are people like yourself who read books because they like reading books. But there are also people who read books because they like Warhammer. Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people, yeah. I read stories and books because I enjoy them. I mean, dude, I run a channel which has Hobby Nightmares on it. That's basically me reading somebody else's book. Yeah. One thing I love, by the way, if you're watching this and you send in, I will say it next week in the videos, but if you send in a hobby nightmare, right, always make sure that you follow up in the comment section, right? Because it means that when somebody says to me that, oh, you know, these aren't real stories, well, they are, because the guy's in the fucking, he's in the comment section talking to all the people about it, right? Now, I would say probably every other hobby nightmare has the author turning up in the comment section, which is great. I'd like that to be every hobby nightmare. So if you do send in a hobby nightmare, try and make sure you are either in the live chat of the hobby nightmare when it premieres, or be in the comment section, just so you can shout down people who say your story isn't real. Because it just pisses me off. Because people take so much time out of their day to send me their stories. And then people go, oh, it's not real, that's from Reddit or something. It's not. It's literally some guy just written it and sent it in. You know. I think people look at the size of the channel and they kind of go, there's no way that many people send stuff in. Because people don't like success when it's not theirs. They tend to get very jealous. On this channel, we found a formula. I don't just mean me and you, right? The people who do this channel. We found a formula that really worked and allowed us to express ourselves, which is great. So if you are going to send in a hobby nightmare, try and make sure you're there in the comment section, because people want to know. They want a follow up. You know, you become like a mini celebrity for the day. Do you know what I mean? Like 5,000 to 10,000 people have seen your story and want to know more. Most of them will want to know more. So, you know, turn up in the comment section and always have a little chat. It's downright thievery how expensive the models are. Now, Games Workshop aren't the only people who do this, though, Mr. Awesome. If you've seen some of the other model sets out there, there was one the other day, I think it was a Corvus Belli. Dude, the price of those models is ridiculous. It's more than Games Workshop, do you know what I mean? So, they're not the only ones who do it. I will say they've poisoned the well, most definitely. But they're not the only ones who've done it, man. Absolutely not. You know. But everybody does it now. USA Libertarian, are they metal? The ones on the top left? No, they're plastic. Oh, the other ones? I don't think so. I think they're plastic. Yeah, Corvus Belli, I think they're plastic. Nick says, I have some minis from Mezgeek. Mezgeek? The bases are not smooth. They bother me. The models are gorgeous, though. That's good. That's good. Alrighty, shall we do some... we're 5 minutes over time. Shall we do some... Salamanders? Alrighty. Salamanders time it is. Alright. So as you know, in the Exileverse, the Emperor sent the Primarchs out as babies to conquer certain worlds. We do this every week. We always remind you of that, right? The Chaos Gods didn't just lift the Primarchs and send them across the galaxy. That's silly. Instead, the Emperor knew that there are certain worlds out there from before Old Night that he really needed yesterday as a part of his empire. He needed them. Absolutely needed them. So, he created his sons, sent them off in their capsules to these worlds because they were going to grow up on those worlds, rise to be kings and emperors of those worlds, and they were already hard-coded to serve him, you know, to take those worlds into his own bosom, if you know what I'm saying. And to take them over without a fight, which kind of works. It's a plan that works. Point being, why is Vulcan sent to Nocturne? Why is he sent to Nocturne? Why is Vulcan sent to Nocturne as a child? Why is he sent there? Alright. We can be looking into creating things. So, in previous lore, we had Perturabo and Vulcan being very good friends, right? Maybe we can look at Perturabo creating things through technology, right? Maybe Vulcan creates things through natural means. Smithing, right? Armor work. Things like that. Important minerals, volcano planet, yeah. Rich mineral metal, yeah, we're all going down that line, aren't we? Minerals, yes. I've got one thing. I've got one thing in my mind. Do you know what the armor of the Custodian is made of? Right. I think it's like auramite, isn't it? Auramite? Maybe this world is suffused with auramite. And it's one of the only places in the galaxy you can actually get it. Wouldn't that be cool? So to actually armor his, custodians, he needs this world. That'd be cool. Oscar says because the Eldar Gateway under the Vulcan in the... Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Eldar Gateway as well. We could do that too. I think it's auramite. I don't think it's dolomite. I think it's auramite. Let me see. Adeptus. Custodes. I think it's auramite. Organization, casts, shields and companies. Equipment, here we go. Auramite, it is auramite. As opposed to ceramite, it's auramite. Yeah, it is auramite. Yeah. Let's see what it says in the lore about it. So, auramite is a powerful, nigh-impenetrable material used in the construction of Adeptus Custodes power armor that is said to be similar to ceramite used by Space Marines. Auramite is an incredibly rare substance whose natural coloration is a shining gold, a hue entirely appropriate for the Emperor's personal guardians. However, though closely guarded alchemical processes, auramite can be tinted, or its colour changed altogether on a molecular level. It is a costly and painstaking process, but considered far more suited to the Custodian's importance than simple repainting. Auramite is almost quantum inert, and it so is an effective material for the use of psychic abilities and the manipulation of warp energy, second only to the bare skin in terms of conductivity. As such, the Emperor chose it as the primary material for his armour, after which Custodes power armour would be styled. Okay, so I'm thinking we put auramite on this world, and who said the Eldar thing? Oscar. And an Eldar gateway. Maybe it's an Eldar gateway on the world leading, or is made from, a vast, twisting labyrinth of auramite. And that's what the Emperor needs. He wants this metal for his own armor and the armor of his 10,000 as well. Maybe the 10,000 only have a few sets of armor between them before they get to Nocturne. How's that? So, auramite is on Nocturne. Emperor needs it, and the Eldar web it constructs It's something different, isn't it? Like, we've done ancient technology, we've done all these other things, but Auramite is something the Emperor actually needs. Right? He actually does need Auramite. And a webway portal could be made out of it. It's really psychically attuned. Right? It's kind of like metallic wraithbone, right? Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like OPR says, maybe the reason there's an Eldar gateway there is because Auramite is a component used in the creation of wraithbone. That'd be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. I like that idea. Do we change their name from Salamanders? Ooh. That'll be the next vote. Matthias, that'll be the next vote. That will be the next vote. I will explore it. So we'll end that vote there. So we're sticking with that. I will explore this, though. I will explore this. If we're changing their name from the Salamanders, it has to be something cool. Right? Iron Drakes would be a good one. Right? Iron Drakes, maybe? The Forge Guard? Star Dragons? Fire Wraiths? Yeah. We'll do a vote on it in a minute anyway. On whether we're changing it or not. Emerald Dragons. Ooh, I like that one. Yeah, I like that one. Star Dragon sounds like a stripper. Well, you got Space Wolves, man. The only one that would really tempt me would be either Fire Wraiths or Iron Drakes. Iron Drakes because of their relationship with the Iron Warriors, you know? Forge Wraiths would be good. Sometimes I like to write these down just so I can see what they look like on the page. Because there are so many times when you're world building or you're doing, you know, your own writing project where you're saying something and it sounds cool, but then you write it and you're like, ooh, that doesn't look nice on the page. It looks silly. Emerald Drakes, yeah. The reason why I think people have brought this up, and people have brought this up in the past when it comes to the Salamanders, is a Salamander is something that's on Nocturne, right? It's something on Nocturne. But does it define who they are? You know? And when you've got all of these dragon scales and things, it's a shame not to use draconic symbology and naming conventions and instead just say they're Salamanders, you know? I don't know. Flameborn. Blazing Smiths. Love it. I like OPR says, I like Fire Wraiths because it ties in with their fire-themed warfare. And also, man, when they become a Shattered Legion, Fire Wraiths would be a hell of a thing to be called, right? Alright. Do we select a new name for the Legion? If this is successful, I will do a multiple question where we'll have multiple answers. And if it's not successful, then I will write. I have another idea that we can do. In fact, I think the other idea will please everybody. Hey Harrison, how's it going, man? If you're still there. Fire Drakes, they're not maybe a chapter. Yeah, but they're not a chapter in the Exileverse yet, though, are they? I'm alright, Harrison. I'm alright, mate. I'm alright. Things are going okay. Alright. I think 13 votes is all we're going to get. Oh, 14 votes. Okay, we'll go to 15. See if it pulls level. Or if it pulls away. We'll see. Alright, we're at 15 votes. Oh, no. We're at 14, 15. Somebody make up their mind. Prometheans. Alright. Alright. I've got a suggestion that may please everybody. How about this? Keep Salamanders, but rename them after they are shattered. Do people think that's a better idea? If this fails, we'll just rename them. Yeah, I thought this would be a lot more swingy, this one. Salamanders could be pre-Primarch name. Yeah, yeah. Nearly there. Do, 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 do. Okay. So, we'll stick with that. We'll rename them after they are shattered. Okay. So they are the Salamanders before they're shattered. So, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We need to go into the kind of friendship that Perturabo and Vulcan have. Right? I think it needs to be based on creating things. Somebody said it before. It was a very good point. We've already made them friends earlier on, but I don't think we explored it too much. I think Vulcan needs to respect the fact that Perturabo can create things using technology, right? And things like that. Whereas Perturabo really respects Vulcan's ability to make new things from natural resources. He can go into He can go into forges, he can go into smithing temples, things like that, and create amazing weapons. And that's a really good place to start the friendship, right? They become brothers in arms because they keep making things for each other. That'd be cool. Do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to make Perturabo and Vulcan kind of like a nod to relationships between wargamers. Right? Do you know what I mean? They're like creating things, building things, converting things. Perturabo literally is a wargamer, and maybe we can have him and Vulcan playing wargames together. Right? Using electronic means, but they play war games together. They play strategy games together. They vie all the time. And maybe a lot of other people don't see the intelligence of Vulcan because of his sheer size, but Perturabo does, and that's why he likes him, right? He sees his intelligence. That's cool. I like that. Don't worry, Flaming Echo. Enjoy your time at the bar. I like that. I think that's a really cool thing. Make Perty and Vulcan another set of twins. It's a bit too much. Bit too much. We don't want to be... It's not special if we do that. We've already got 2. We've got Alpharius and Omegon and the Lion and Luther. So we don't want 3. Mr. Awesome's React says, they would be like Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus when they exchange weapons. The weapon Vulcan gives Perturabo, Horus uses it to kill him. Wow, that's a really cool one. Yes, I like that. I like that. Yeah. So let's say Forge Breaker is something that Perturabo makes and gives to Vulcan, right? He gives him Forge Breaker. So this is yours, this massive hammer, right? You know, great big thunder hammer. Gives it to him. I love that, yeah. So let's have the Horus Heresy kicking off, right? I think we're okay keeping the Salamanders as they are. Flame-based weaponry, you know, staunch, almost suicidal in their bravery, right? I think we can keep it that way. I think that's pretty cool. But with the Horus Heresy kicking off, I'd like to, and bear with me, you can feel free to disregard what I say, because this is what we're all here to do, right? I would like to fold in some of the elements from Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus' story, because if you remember, Fulgrim and Ferrus Manus weren't amazing friends in the Exileverse. It's a pretty weird friendship to be having, right? It's quite strange. I would like to fold in parts of their story into this. Because we've already had them being 2 people who build things. And Vulcan has given Forge Breaker by Perturabo, right? Why don't we have Perturabo, who doesn't like the Emperor at the best of times, right? He is pulled over to Horus' side quite easily. Hello, Richies, how's it going, man? He's pulled over to Horus' side quite easily, right? And he says to Horus, in his, you know, miscalculation, he says, because, again, Perturabo doesn't get people. He gets machines, he gets logic, he doesn't get people. People are not logical, right? And he goes to Vulcan. He says to Horus, I'll go get Vulcan. No problem. He'll join us. No problem. And Horus is like, I don't know, man. I don't trust him. I don't think so. I don't think you're right. He goes, okay, well, leave it to me. Perturabo goes to Vulcan and says, logically, you should join our side, right? We are 2 scientists. We're 2 creators. You should join our side. It would be wise, my friend. You know, like Saruman, right? It would be wise. It would be logical to do that. The problem is, Perturabo doesn't really get human behavior, doesn't really get human interactions, doesn't understand human nature, right? And sometimes humans do things out of love, not out of logic. And Vulcan loves the Emperor, and he loves, you know, the Imperium. So he refuses, right? Yeah? Yeah. I think that'd be a good thing. How often do I check my emails? Every day, man. Every day. The Hobby Nightmares email probably 2 or 3 times a week, but the normal email every day. So I'm thinking, obviously he's refused, right? Yeah? Obviously he's refused. And he doesn't want to fight Vulcan, obviously. Doesn't want to fight Vulcan. But he has to, because Vulcan attacks him, right? No, hang on. No, let's not do that. I'll let you vote on that one. When Vulcan refuses Perturabo, does he fight him straight away? Or agree to settle this later? That sounds like a strange question, right? But at the end of the day, if we're building up this friendship between them, I'm not sure Vulcan would just go out of his way and go, nah, I'm murdering the fuck out of this guy, right? I'm not sure that he goes and just attacks him, right? I'm not sure he does that. I'm thinking he holds back and is like, no, you need to come to your senses. You need to get with the program. Come to your senses. Because if these are brothers who like each other that much, he's not just going to try and kill him straight away. Be like, oh, you don't like the Emperor anymore? Good, I'm going to try and kill you. Wouldn't work that way. It just wouldn't work that way. Right? Maybe we add layers to Horus's manipulation in that he tells Perturabo about Istvan. Right? He doesn't tell him about the Drop Site Massacre, but he tells him that they're gonna be marshalling on Istvan. We're gonna marshal there. The traitor side, right? We're gonna marshal there. Because he knows Perturabo will tell Vulcan where they're marshalling. Why? Because Perturabo says, please reconsider, meet us on this world and we'll show you. Right? And that's how the Imperium finds out about Istvan. Which is like a tragic irony, but it's Horus again pulling the strings from the shadows. He's manipulating his brothers like a T. To a T. Just manipulating them constantly, all the time. Because he knows Perturabo will tell Vulcan, Vulcan will tell the Emperor, and then we'll have Istvan 5. Exactly, Oscar. Yeah. Vulcan's got a heart. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't just go after Perturabo. I agree. Mr. Awesome says, he tries to advise him not to betray the Emperor, but we get a last church moment where they debate Horus and the Emperor. That would be really good. Yeah, logic against heart. Yeah. How about this as a last line from Vulcan? Is that he says, I know it's not logical to support the Emperor, but family means something to me, and I assumed as my brother it would mean something to you as well. Like what a cut deep moment that would be, right? What a cut deep moment. Yeah, very emotional scene. I agree. All right, we'll leave it there. So, yeah. So they instead of getting into the typical Warhammer-esque, fisticuffs, fight, duel, whatever, they sit down and talk. They're craftsmen. They're intellectuals. They sit down and talk. And they agree to disagree, essentially, and they go their own ways. Vulcan goes back to the Emperor to warn him about the mustering. Right? He tells him about the mustering on Istvan, and the loyalist legions come towards Istvan to get rid of Horus, right? And now we have Istvan 5, the Dropsite Massacre. Okay. Alright. We have the fight going on, you know, and of course, the traitors being traitors, they turn against their own, and here we go. The Dropsite Massacre is well underway, and the legions are being decimated. Alright. Vulcan he's not taunted by Perturabo, but Perturabo tries to get Vulcan to fight him, to get him away from Horus, right? And Vulcan won't, right? He knows all of his men are dead anyway. He's dead anyway, but he can nip this thing in the bud. So he forges way to Horus, yeah, and fights him there on the field. And obviously, unfortunately, he loses. Not only that, but Horus takes Forgebreaker and let's have him beat Vulcan to death with it. Right? He beats Vulcan to death with Forgebreaker. But in doing so, there is a contingency plan here. And that Vulcan has on him, I think we did this in our last video about Vulcan as well, a nuclear device, a massive nuclear device, right? And as Vulcan lies there dying, Horus is forced away, right? The press forces him away. And as Vulcan lies there dying, the last thing he says to Perturabo, because Perturabo comes over to him to try and save him, right? Try and stabilize him. Yeah? And Vulcan looks at him, knowing that he has this nuclear device in his armor. Dead man switch, as you say, yeah, Krasno, yeah. And it's going to go off. He reminds him of that line that Oscar did there, right? He says, you know, family means something. Right? It means something. So you need to leave, because this is going to go off. You need to leave. Just remember what I said, but you need to leave. Perturabo reluctantly leaves the battlefield, and the device goes off, right? And Perturabo, on purpose, doesn't warn the Sons of Horus and any of the other traitor legions that's going to go off. He pulls back. Right? And Perturabo is now basically renegade. He's on his own. And he hates everybody for taking Vulcan away from him. He hates the Emperor because he doesn't like the Emperor in the first place. He thinks the Emperor brainwashed his brother into following him and getting himself killed. And he hates Horus for manipulating everybody into this pass for power, and that's it. So Perturabo's his own man from now on. Alright. No, Richies, no, I don't use that one really. So use hobbynightmares@gmail.com. hobbynightmares@gmail.com. Matthias says, you don't see it, but family has a strength you cannot measure, and it's stronger than you think. Yeah. Or maybe it's just it's stronger than you. The bonds are stronger than you. And you need to back off now, because this is going to go off. Right? So, Vulcan is vindicated in his own death. He's vindicated in what he meant. And he seals the turning of Perturabo away from chaos. Right? It's like a pseudo-redemption. Doesn't really redeem him, but it's a pseudo-redemption, isn't it? I'll look out for it, mate. If you send it to me, I'll look out for it. So, that is the end of his story. But what then happens to the Salamanders? What happens to the Salamanders? Let's decide their name. What is the new name of the shattered Salamanders. Iron Drakes. Fire Wraiths. Forge Guard. What was the other one? Forge Guard and... Emerald Drakes. Start poll. And this will kind of define what they're going to be. This is so close, man. Oh my god, it's a three-way tie. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? That means we've got 1 vote for Iron Drakes and 3 each for Fire Wraiths, Forge Guard and Emerald Drakes. 4 now for Forge Guard. Mr. Awesome says, it would make sense for Fire Wraiths because since they're avenging Vulcan's death. Yep, and technically they're an undead legion, aren't they? Technically, because it's a dead legion, but they're still around. Right, I get you. I get you. Jacob says, how about the Salamanders have ritual for new recruits where they have to journey to Ground Zero where the nuke went off to collect a piece of obsidian to join the chapter? That'd be cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That'd be cool. Krasno says, I voted for Iron Drakes because of that's a dwarf unit. Also, Brethren sounds nice. Fair enough. I will say I like Fire Wraiths more because it's more of a I like the idea of it. I like the idea of them being these avenging, you know, fire-strewn wraiths. I would even, if we did something like Fire Wraiths, I would even make them psychers now. Like they sort of get like a backlash from the death of Vulcan to being these, like, you know, actual flame dudes, you know, who can like burst flames out of their armor and stuff if they want to. That'd be pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to be... As soon as we can get through Forge Guard and Emerald Drake, so every one of those is going to win, I've got another idea. I like that, Oscar. I like that idea. That's cool. Alright, we'll call it there. So Forge Guard wins the vote. So they're now called Forge Guard. Okay. Okay. You can have all three. Well, we are going to have all three because, as you said there, we're not splitting them into different chapters, but they are different alliances, right? So we will have Forge Guard, Emerald Drakes, Fire Wraiths, and Iron Drakes. The Legion splits. into 4 distinct pieces. That's what we're going to do, right? But each of these chapters comes back to East Van, into Ground Zero, to get some obsidian from the blast site, to forge it into a blade of some sort, right? And they use this to scar their black skin, right? Ritual scarring. Yeah, exactly, Krasner. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, the main psyker, so the main librarian, guides the fire wraiths. Exactly. The chaplain, the emerald drakes, and the first captain, forge guard. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the different sections of salamander authority go in different directions, and they take from the Promethean cult, from Vulcan, different things and different teachings, and they go in different directions, right? So now, instead of having salamanders and they're not allowed successor chapters because there's so few of them, no. Instead, around 10 to 15,000 of salamanders survive, right? And they go in different directions, and you already have successor chapters in the Horus Heresy. They even start painting their armor different colors, right? Their cultures start diverging quite quickly, you know? They take different teachings of Vulcan and say, this is what he meant this, right? So by the end of the Horus Heresy, you've got several different chapters that you can have from the Salamanders. And they can all come back to Nocturne. So Nocturne's seen as the spiritual home of all of them, and they all come home eventually, right? All the time. Alright, man, Oscar, no problem, man. But ironically, I think with that, I would consider the Salamanders rebuilt, redone. Again, as I said before, these rebuilds will get shorter, quite frankly. Because we've already covered the big events of most Primarchs in the first 10, right? The first 10 Primarchs we covered interacted with other Primarchs, so all of their stories intertwine. So all of a sudden, you know, with people like Vulcan and Lorgar, we've already covered half of their story in other people's videos. In this case, Perturabo's videos for Vulcan and Horus's videos for Lorgar, right? We've already covered half of their story. So we're only really deciding what their Legion does and their eventual fate. You know? But the whole thing about the Exileverse is we want to create stories where you're thinking to yourself, wow, I want to collect that. I would collect that all day long, right? And if you gave me like something like the Fire Wraiths, where they're all in black armor with like flames coming out of them, they've got like molten metal underneath their armor, and they're all like psychers and crazy, and kind of like the Emperor is a God Black Templars-ish, you know? They're really dark, they're very vengeful. Dude, I'd collect that in a fucking heartbeat. I'd collect that. I'd collect the shit out of that. That's cool. You know? Maybe the Emerald Drakes are the ones who retain the original colour scheme, you know? And they see themselves as the sons of Vulcan, you know, the real Salamanders, you know? That's really cool. I like it. I really like it. So what do we have next week? Who are we rebuilding next week? I have a feeling Raven Guard next week, and then Alpha Legion, and then that's it. So we've got Raven Guard, Alpha Legion, and then that's it. That'll be 20 legions. So it's Raven Guard next week. Raven Guard and Alpha Legion. Yeah, Legion of the Damned is something I've left alone, mainly because it opens another can of worms. I do think Vulcan being the leader of the Legion of the Damned is a really good idea, and I think we stick with it, right? Maybe maybe the fire wraiths have some sort of communication with him, and he tells them where to go and what to do. Right, that kind of like a tarot kind of a thing. That'd be cool. It's like I saw it in the flames, that kind of a thing. That'd be awesome. Yeah, Korax next week with the Raven Guard. And then I'm going to change his name, by the way, because Corvus Corax just means crow crow. So I'm changing his fucking name, even if it kills me. We're probably not going to use Corax. We might just call him Corvus. No. And then after the Legions, yes, we will be doing Xenos, and then we'll be doing Imperial Guard regiments. So, indeed. Yeah, the Great Drake guides us. Indeed, indeed. That'd be good. So what do we have tomorrow on Hobby Nightmares? That is another thing. And this is tomorrow. As a preview. Salvaging a hobby life from the wreckage. That is tomorrow. It is an epic tale tomorrow. Absolutely epic. I loved it. I loved reading that one. It was really good. Really good. It had a lot of ups and downs. This Harvey Nightmare has a lot of ups and downs. Alrighty. I can chill for another 5-10 minutes until 6 o'clock. I'm gonna have to go. So we can do a little bit of a Q&A. Or just chill. But if you're just here for the rebuild, you can now leave. We have rebuilt another Legion. Matthias says, wait, it's the Legion of the Damned. To me, that says it's one of the original Legions. Maybe in his death, Vulcan finds one of the lost Legions, but the Primarch, not the Primarch that led it. Maybe. Wild says he pulls the souls and forges the Legion. Yeah. Positive Geekery says, sorry if you already... I'll come back to you in a minute, Mr. Awesome. He says, sorry if you already covered it, but when is the deadline for submitting army lists for Exile Fests? Those new wolves are tempting. So, we have... Let me see what the dates are. They're on here somewhere. Here we go. So, if you wish to play in the tournament that is happening at Exile Fest in Liverpool on the 21st of June 2025, then you need to have your completed 2,000 point OPR Grimdark Future list to me by Monday the 2nd of June. Alright, Monday the 2nd of June. Okay. The draw of who plays who will be happening on the Sunday live stream on Sunday the 8th of June. In fact, you know what? I'll just show you the window. I'll just show you the window. There you go. So there you go. So we will have prizes. We do have trophies. We do have trophies. So every participant in the tournament will be walking away with a signed box of Yorkshire tea from yours truly. From my hearth to yours. First place will be getting the Exile Fest 2025 Grand Trophy and £50 in worth of store vouchers on the day. The best painted will get another Exile Fest 2025 trophy for that. The best overall player will get their own trophy too, and the last place on the day will get the coveted Golden Spoon trophy. I do encourage you all to save pennies until the event to maybe pick up some hobby supplies at Just Play on the day, even if it is just a white dwarf or a paint, to say thank you for having us. And do I need an army to attend? No. No, you do not. No, you can simply come and hang out with us, take pictures, have a drink, and watch the chaos unfold, right? You don't need an army to attend. Alright. Yeah, there are no second and third place because I thought it was better to offer... this isn't going to be a really crunchy tournament. It's not going to be a tournament where people are going to be sweating over this and that, you know. The only match where there will be something at stake is the last one. The final, between the two top players, right? Because the winner of that gets the trophy and £50 worth of in-store vouchers, right? Everything else is all best painted, best overall player, and last place, right? Everything else is all feels. And yes, I did order some actual trophies. They should be here soon. I'm hoping they are anyway. Yeah, they should be here soon. In fact, I can probably tell you when they're going to get here. Here we go. Yeah, they should be here tomorrow, Monday. I had them custom made, custom built. So they will be here on the day. Mr. Roseman says, quick question for my alternate heresy. Which title sounds better? The Deliverer Heresy or the Liberator Heresy? I like the Deliverer. I like Deliverer. It's cool. Liberator's something that you'd already find in 40k, like a weapon type or something. Are we going to mess with the Eldar Fall? Maybe. Maybe. Richard says, have you done Lost Primarchs already? We have. One of them was Luther, who is the twin of the Lion, 2nd Legion. And the other was a completely fan-made Primarch called Melchior. He's pretty cool. He's very into Necron tech, which is why he fell before anyone else. Hopefully new wolves are released by then. You don't need them, man. You don't need them. You know why? You want to know why you don't need them? You know why. I'm gonna tell you why, but you know already. Let me just redo. Here is the new link for Discord. Oh, no, there isn't. That's my Patreon. Go there as well. Go there as well. Copy that. Here is the new link for Discord. Oh no, it isn't. It's not doing it. Okay, fair enough. Whatevs then. Let me put it on the channel then. The new link will be up on the channel now. New Discord link. Okay, why is that not working? Copy. Thank you. Jesus. There you go. There's the new link. So yeah, I will tell you why you shouldn't be doing official models, because I've got some better ones. You ready for these? Let me show you some of these. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I feel really sorry for Shemek because he only showed me these literally a few days before the reveal. That's such bad timing. But look at these, dude. They look awesome, man. And yes, they look like this when they come out as well. And you can change all the weapons around if you want. They come without the shoulder pads on. You can put them on if you want, but that's so you can attach Games Workshop official ones if you want, so they look more like Space Marines. Even though they kind of do look like Space Marines there. Like the old Land Raider there. Vanilla ice cream. I mean, come on. They are badass. With the Cyber Wolf there. Yeah. So that's why you don't need official models. You don't. There are better ones out there already. Even though I really do like the new Wolf models, they're basically the Assault Intercessor kit. You know? Cheers, RP40k. Thank you very much, man. Wouldn't be a Northern Exile event without a Space Wolf player. Dude, that was nearly me. See, a lot of people think I don't like Space Wolves. I do. I don't generally like what the fandom's done to them. And I don't like the way Games Workshop write them. You know? But that was going to be me. I was going to be the Space Wolf guy. You know? Until time meant I'm generally not going to be able to paint them all in time. But yeah, that was going to be me. I do have plans to heavily convert the new ones. That's good, that's good. But this would cost you a lot less money, and you can still convert them. Are there not Salamanders? I don't think so, but I think they are coming. I think they are coming. Right, I'm going to leave it there. It is 6 o'clock. I love your long time. I will speak to you very, very, very soon. Tomorrow, to be precise, for some more Hobby Nightmares. And I'll see you next week for some Raven Guard action. So, speak to you soon. Have a good one. Bye now.